Hey guys, it's Emily, and today I am so happy and excited to introduce my new video series here on my channel called Books Around the World. It's a video series where I will be reading books set in different cities, countries, and continents. I feel like this series is the perfect way to combine two of my passions, travel and books. And especially given the current situation, I know a lot of us are not able to travel right now, and so this is the perfect opportunity for me to visit cities, countries, continents that I've always wanted to visit while staying in the comfort of my own home. This is an original idea as far as I know. I have done my research and I've seen people do book recommendations set in different cities or countries, but I haven't seen anything quite like what I am planning on doing with this video series. However, if you guys have seen anyone do something similar to this, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to give credit where credit is due. I'm not sure about the frequency of these videos yet. It will really depend on how many videos per episode I have to read and also what is going on in my life at the moment, how busy I am. I do have a couple of episodes already planned. However, if you guys have any requests for specific locations that you would like me to visit through the series, please let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, if you also have book recommendations, I would love to hear about them, so make sure to leave a comment down below. Now, for this first episode, I thought we would start with something a little bit broad and something that inspired this whole series to begin with, and that is YA travel novels set in Europe. All of the books on my TBR for today are books that are YA. However, this entire series won't be YA necessarily. I do plan on having adult books and middle grade and just different age ranges and genres, so be assured that I won't only be reading YA, even though this is what inspired this series to begin with, because YA travel novels hold a special place in my heart, probably because I've always wanted to go backpacking through Europe when I was a teenager. I still want to now, but I mean, we can't do that right now. I'm very excited for this first episode because I will be reading books where the characters travel through different cities and countries in Europe. So the story won't be taking place in only one country or one city. Rather, it's a book that has multiple locations, which is why I gave this more broad theme. Now, let's dive into my TBR, shall we? So the first book that I will be reading is The Wonder of Us by Kim Culbertson. In this book, we are following two best friends, Ria and Abby. Ria moved abroad with her parents in Berlin, Germany, while Abby stayed behind in their small California hometown. At first, they thought it would be easy to keep in touch. However, they ended up fighting and drifting apart. So Ria proposes this big, epic European adventure in the hope that it will fix their friendship. However, they haven't been talking for weeks and they're both keeping secrets. Next up, we have I See London, I See France by Mlyknowski. So in this book, we're following our main character, Sydney, and she has planned this big European month-long adventure with her childhood best friend, Leela. However, when Leela's cheating ex-boyfriend joins the trip, everything changes. The plans that Sydney had carefully prepared start falling apart. This will actually be a reread for me. I read this when it first came out in like 2017 or maybe in 2018, I don't remember exactly, and I remember really enjoying it, and I've been in the mood to reread this, so I thought I would incorporate it in this episode. Our third book is 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen. Our main character Ginny finds a little blue envelope that her dad handed as a center. Inside of the envelope are a plane ticket and $1,000 for a passport. As Ginny follows along the path her hand has carved for her with her blue envelopes, Ginny discovers things about her hand's past and about herself that she never thought she'd find. Book number 4 is The Summer of Us by Cecilia Vinesse. In this book, we're following our main character Aubrey, who only has 2 weeks left in Europe before she has to leave for college. But Aubrey is nowhere near ready. So with her best friend Ray, she organizes one last group trip with her friends across the continent. But old secrets come to light and Aubrey's carefree adventure turns into a complete disaster. There's Aubrey and Gabe's history, complicated by the fact that Aubrey is now dating Jonah, Gabe's best friend. And then there's also Ray, who has feeling for Clara. However, how is she supposed to express her feelings when they're both going to be moving away in completely different parts of the world in just a few weeks? And our final book for this first episode is Wanderlost by Jen Malone. In this book, we're following another main character named Aubrey. When Aubrey's sister Elizabeth gets in trouble, Aubrey is talked into taking over her sister's job, which is leading a group of senior citizens on a European tour. Never mind the fact that Aubrey has never left her hometown, or that the tour company is expecting her perfect sister Elizabeth. Aubrey doesn't even make it to their first stop in Amsterdam before the perfect plan unravels, leaving her with no phone, no binder full of helpful facts, and an unexpected guest, the tour company's owner's son, Sam. This will also be a reread for me. It's been at least a year since I've last read it, but I thought I would incorporate it in this TBR and see how I feel about it. So this is my TBR for this first episode. I hope you guys are excited. I know I am. I'm super excited to be reading all of these. I cannot wait to see what these have in store for me. And now it's time for me to pick my first read. Now, I'm kind of excited to read all of these, to be honest. I don't really know which one I would choose first. I'm thinking maybe I should start with a reread since I already know what's happening, but at the same time I want to experience something new, and I don't know, I just don't really know which one I want to read first. So I'm going to be using a random number generator to pick my first read. So Google tells me to read book number 4, which for us was The Summer of Us by Cecilia Vinesse. I'm actually very excited for this. I love this cover and the premise sounds really interesting. I know there's going to be a lot of drama. I just hope it won't be too childish for me. We'll see. And I like the fact that there's like a female-female relationship that we might be able to see unfold through this. So without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, so I have finished reading The Summer of Us by Cecilia Vinesse, and I did enjoy this book. I really like the writing style. I think the author really did her research because I could really feel being there with the characters, visiting all of those different cities. However, I do wish the book had focused a little bit more on the traveling and a little bit less on the drama. Don't get me wrong, I knew diving into this that I would be getting some teenage drama, but I feel like it was kind of over the top, and sometimes I just didn't understand the point of adding another dramatic plotline. As I said, I wish the book had been more about traveling and a little bit less about the rest. I think one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy this book as much as I thought I would is because one of the main characters, Aubrey, she's one of the narrators of the story, and I feel like she was super selfish and kind of bitchy, to be honest. She made the whole trip all about her, and every time people tried to call her out on it, she just put the blame on someone else, and she never really saw the wrong in her ways, and I kind of disliked her, to be honest. I'm really glad that the book was told in dual perspectives and we had both Ray and Aubrey's perspective, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have liked this book nearly as much as I did. So I'm giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it. I was glad that there was a female-female relationship in this and it was normalized. People never questioned it. It was super normal and like it was just there. It was a fact. It happened and people weren't all over it, which I think was nice. Now, I wanted to spice things up a little bit and decided to do some coloring. Ray in The Summer of Us is quite the artist. She likes to take pictures, she loves to draw, she's going to art school, and I thought I would do something to remember her by. Now that I have finished my first book, it's time for me to start something new, and so I picked Wanderlost by Jen Malone. I thought it was the perfect time for me to include one of my rereads, so I am going to be starting Wanderlost. I also wanted a book that wasn't necessarily focused on friendship, and I know a lot of the books on my TBR are books that feature a friendship of some sort, and in this one it's mostly like a relationship and not so much a friendship. So I am excited to have something a little bit different. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday I was reading Wanderlost by Jen Malone, and at some point in the book she mentions how pancakes are kind of a thing in Amsterdam, and so I was craving pancakes. So this morning we're actually going to be making pancakes for breakfast. I found this recipe in one of our cookbooks and I'm going to be attempting to make pancakes for one. So I have finished reading Wanderlost by Jen Malone and I really enjoyed the book. It is such a fun read. The plot is kind of wild though and kind of unrealistic. It's kind of ridiculous all across the board. However, once you start rolling with the punches, it's such a fun ride. I just really enjoyed it. I think my favorite part about the book though is the descriptions. They're so lush and vivid and immersive, and I really felt like I was in those different cities with the characters, and I just really wanted to go to Europe while reading this book because I just wanted to experience everything that our characters were experiencing, and I just kind of wish that I were them. The characters are also a lot of fun, especially the senior citizens. I didn't like our main character Aubrey all that much. I felt like she was kind of spoiled and she wouldn't try anything new. She was just sticking to her comfort zone, and I guess this is kind of the point of the book because she does open up as the book goes on. Girl, why don't you even try it? A bite won't kill you. But I didn't hate her either. I just felt like she could have been a little bit more open-minded, but other than that, I really enjoyed the story. I just thought it was a lot of fun, and the romance was also super cute and cheesy, and this was just such a great book. I'm kind of surprised by how much I enjoyed it because the first time I read it, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars, and this time I'm rating this a 4 out of 5 stars. But the first time that I read it, I had quite a few issues with this book. I will leave my initial review in the description box down below if you guys want to check that out. I explained everything more in depth there, but it was mostly about how ridiculous the plot is and also how Aubrey is spoiled and annoying at times. But I kind of knew what I was getting myself into in this second read, and so I wasn't so taken aback when I dove into it. I kind of knew what to expect. I will be honest though, I was dreading diving into it before I picked it up again because I didn't enjoy it that much the first time I read it. Eventually I started enjoying it, but I remember struggling a lot with the book at first. But this time around I just had a lot of fun and it was a great read. So not too sure if like there's a change of heart there or if I just knew what to expect and so I wasn't as disappointed with this book, but I just had a lot of fun. Now it's time to pick up my next read, and I have chosen 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. I am really excited to dive into this because I really like the premise. I think the concept is super interesting and intriguing, and I cannot wait to see what Maureen Johnson has done with this. I'll be honest though, I'm kind of hesitant diving into it just because I have read Maureen Johnson's Truly Devious series and I didn't love it. I think the most that I gave one of the books in that series is 3 out of 5 stars. I know it's a very beloved series here on BookTube, but I personally wasn't that big a fan, and so I'm kind of worried that I will not enjoy this as much as I hope I would. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong. Update time. So today we have a very chill day. I'm not wearing any makeup on. My hair is freshly washed and hair drying, and I'm wearing it natural. And we have gloomy weather, so I've been watching Netflix and reading. And I thought it was time for me to do a little reading update. And since our main character in 13 Little Blue Envelopes is currently in Rome, where I'm at in the book, she just landed and she's had some gelato, and I thought it was a perfect excuse for me to have some store-bought gelato. Obviously it's not going to be as good as the real deal, but I thought it would be nice to maybe update you guys on the book and just eat some gelato. So this is some truffle fudge or fudge truffle. Don't remember the exact name of the flavor, but it's chocolate. It tastes like ice cream, but it has like pieces of chocolate and like fudge in it. It's really good. Anyway, let's talk about 13 Little Blue Envelopes. I'm about halfway through, and I'll be honest, so far I'm not loving it. This is good though. I think my main issue with the book is, while I do love the premise, I don't like the execution, and that's because of the main character. The thing is, the main character, it's not that I don't like her. It's actually I feel like I don't know her. She's so bland. She feels like a robot, and we don't really get her thoughts or feelings or emotions. It's like she doesn't feel anything. It feels like the author is just taking her from one place to the next, or like to one event to the next, and we never really get to know our main character. It feels so robotic, and I really love the premise, but the execution just doesn't flow. It feels very automatic. It doesn't feel natural. It feels very forced, and this should be cool, but because I don't feel anything, it's like very boring. What is kind of funny is that the aunt of our main character, so the one who's writing the letters, has more personality than the main character herself. Like the letters are maybe 2-3 pages each. I feel like we get to know Aunt Peg more than we do Ginny, our main character, and I'm like, how can someone who's writing like 2 or 3 pages have more personality than the main character that this book is following? I don't understand, and I'm starting to think that Maureen Johnson is just not an author for me. I often like the premise of her books more than the execution. And I've read her older stuff and I've read her most recent stuff with the Truly Devious series, and I just don't enjoy them. I haven't enjoyed Truly Devious, and I'm not enjoying this book. Like, honestly, I would DNF it if it wasn't for the fact that I'm reading it for this video. I'm gonna finish it just because I am curious to see where our main character will go next, but I'm not that interested in the plot at all, which is kind of disappointing because I really like the premise and the concept, as I've said before. So I'm very sad that I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would. Okay, so time for an update. So I did finish reading 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson, and I feel like what I said before about the book still stands, meaning I feel like we didn't really get to know the main character and the plot was kind of, I want to say impactless or like actionless, but that's not really what I mean. I just mean that it's not as interesting, I guess, as I hoped it would be. Like, the execution is kind of weird a little bit sometimes. I'm just like, there's no way this would happen. But I will be honest, I feel like I enjoyed the ending a little bit more than the rest of the book. Maybe it's because we got to visit different places that I haven't seen in any of the novels that I've read so far, meaning like we went to Copenhagen, then their characters went to Corfu in Greece, and I thought that was nice and different. Also, the main character started showing emotion finally after 180 pages. She finally like started expressing her feelings and her thoughts, and I felt like I got to know her a little bit better. I still feel like it wasn't enough and we barely got anything, but at least we started understanding her reasoning and how she felt about the whole situation. And I also kind of liked how the ending was done, even though sometimes it didn't make any sense, but I thought it was more action-packed. I guess it had more intrigue to it and it was a little bit more interesting than the rest of the book, which is a good thing. Now, I'm giving this book a 2 out of 5 stars, mainly because of the ending, because if it was just for the beginning of the book, I probably would have given this like a 1 star, unfortunately. And then I started reading The Wonder of Us by Kim Culbertson. I was initially gonna read a couple of pages before I update you guys, not necessarily like read. Let me give you the number of pages because I read quite a bit. 200 pages. So I was initially maybe going to read 50 pages or so and then update you guys, but I flew through this book. I'm really enjoying this so far. It's super fast paced. I liked the dual perspective. We're getting both the point of view of Rhea and Abby, and I think that creates a nice narration that makes a lot more sense because we get to experience, I guess, both characters' thoughts and feelings. And I also really like the banter between Rhea and Neil. Neil is Rhea's cousin and he is like 19 years old or something, and he is accompanying them on this tour as like their chaperone, and Rhea is not happy about it. It makes for a nice banter and I really like their chemistry, I guess. This book is super fast paced. I feel like it's a little bit over dramatic sometimes, but it doesn't bother me in a way that other books have. I am really enjoying this one so far. Hey, so time for an update. So it's been a hot second since I have last updated you guys. I started a new job last week and I was kind of overwhelmed by it. I was expecting to finish this video before I started my new job, but life got in the way and I just wasn't really feeling in the mood to read last week, so it was difficult for me to like film and read and work and everything. But I did film my work week. If you guys want to know everything about the job, make sure to watch that video. I will link it up above in the cards. But since I have last updated you, I have finished 2 books. The first one is The Wonder of Us by Kim Culbertson. You guys, I really enjoyed this book. I think what I said before was a pretty accurate representation of how I feel about this book, because I did really like the characters, the friendship, even the drama I did enjoy to a certain point because I felt like there was a reason behind it. It didn't feel over dramatic. I also really liked the romance, and I liked the fact that it visited different areas of Europe that we hadn't seen in previous books that I've read. So the characters went to Iceland, for example, which was a nice refreshing breath of air. And when the characters went to Scotland, I just wished that I had been there with them. I just felt this sense of longing because I went to Scotland like 2 years ago, 2 years and a half, and I loved it so much, and like reading about it just made me wish that I was with the characters. I wish that I was back there, and that's powerful stuff. So overall, really enjoyed it. I would give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I did really like it. I like the ending. It's a strong novel. I just wish more people would talk about it. And then I also read I See London, I See France by Mlyknowski. So this was a reread for me, and the first time I read it, I really enjoyed it. And once again, loved this book. I flew through it. I think out of all of the books that I read, this is probably my favorite. I just really liked a lot of things about it. It wasn't perfect by any means. I did have a couple of issues with it, and I dive into it more in my initial review, so I will link that in the description if you guys want to check that out. But overall, it was really good, super fast paced. It really dives into the traveling aspect of the whole like traveling across Europe thing. I feel like a lot of the other books talk more about the drama and like the relationships, but this one was really about the traveling. Don't get me wrong, there's drama. If you want drama, you'll get some in this, but it really dove deeper into the whole traveling thing, like how to plan your vacation and like the struggles that can happen while you travel, like losing your luggage, having to stay in less than ideal hostels because everything else is booked. And I just feel like this really dives into the whole thing, and I thought that was nice and refreshing. I think one of the reasons why I love this book so much is because the characters are a little bit older than the ones that I've read about in the other books that I've read for this video. The characters in this book are in college or like in their early 20s. I felt like I could relate to the characters a little bit more because of that. I could understand their struggles a little bit more, and yeah, overall really liked it. It also visits a lot of locations, so if you're looking for a book that covers a lot of ground, this one is perfect. Another 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So now that I've read all of the books on my TBR, which ones would I recommend? First, I would obviously recommend I See London, I See France by Mlyknowski. As I said, this was my favorite book that I read this week, and if you're looking for a book that really talks about the traveling aspect of YA travel novels and for characters that are a little bit older and for a book that covers a lot of ground, highly recommend this one. It was so fun, super fast paced. I really flew through this book. Then the second book that I would recommend is The Wonder of Us by Kim Culbertson. As I said, I was really surprised by it. I just really enjoyed it, and I feel like it's such an underrated book as well. I feel like I haven't heard anyone talk about this. Most of the books on my TBR are books that you probably have heard about before, but this one I've never seen anyone mention, and yet I really enjoyed it. So if you guys are looking for a book about friendship, traveling, and a little bit of romance on the side, this one is perfect. And the third and final book that I would recommend is Wanderlost by Jen Malone. If you had asked me a year ago if I would recommend this book, I probably would have said no, but now that I've reread it, I really enjoyed it and I would really recommend it if you're looking for something cheesy, cute, kind of over the top, and a bit wild and crazy sometimes. This book is perfect. It has endearing characters, a super cute love interest, and it is a super enjoyable read. So that is it for the first episode of Books Around the World. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had so much fun filming this video and just like reading all of the books. I'm so excited for future episodes. As I've mentioned before, if you guys have any requests for specific locations, or if you have book recommendations set in any city or country, make sure to leave them down below. I hope you guys are as excited as I am for the rest of the series. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give this a big thumbs up. That really helps out my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!